before you go buy heat and eat pasta dishes at Walmart or Kroger, you may want to hold off. Okay.
Oh,
I regret to inform you, but as of June 17th, the USDA has issued a recall for Fresh Realm ready to eat chicken Alfredo. And you may be wondering, I've never heard of Fresh Realm. Well, you probably know it as Marketside at Walmart and Home Chef at Kroger. And let's just end that debate right now because you see all these people saying, oh, the food I buy at Kroger is so much better at Walmart, better than Walmart. Well, screw that argument. They're made by the same company. They just have different packaging. So the reason this chicken Alfredo was recalled was because it may be contaminated with Listeria. And I use the term may be because there have been confirmed cases of it. So I don't know how they can say it may be when it's confirmed.
right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So what I'm talking about. So this heat and eat pasta dish sold at Walmart, sold at Kroger. It has been linked to a deadly Listeria outbreak over 13 states in the US. This is a big one.
Holy
Okay.
cow. Okay.
Now, the FSIS and public health officials are investigating the Listeria outbreak because, as of today, it has resulted in 17 known illnesses, 3 deaths, and 1 fetal loss.
Oh,
Yes, that means
no.
a pregnant woman miscarried that was infected with Listeria. So, I mean, that right there,
That's the tough
and
one. That's the hardest one, I think.
because
Well,
trust me,
no,
if
it
you're
all
pregnant and you're
sucks.
craving some chicken Alfredo, I totally agree. Get the heat and eat kind. Don't cook that
Right.
thing by yourself. So that breaks my heart. Okay. Now, here's the part where it gets a little interesting, maybe. So, FSIS, okay,
Hmm.
hasn't confirmed that the Fresh Realm chicken fettuccine Alfredo is behind the outbreak. Okay.
Hmm.
But multiple people infected with Listeria had reported buying that product or consuming the ready to eat Alfredo prior to getting sick. Okay.
Got it. Yeah.
So right now it's more word of mouth. It hasn't been backed up. But you know what? These tests take time.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Think about how long it takes to actually do a DNA test. It's not like in the movies or on TV where they pop it into a machine and 20 minutes later it pops out the results. This
Ding.
takes time. Now, basically, Fresh Realm issued this recall voluntarily out
Yeah.
of an abundance of caution. So I give it to them for that because they didn't wait until they had the confirmed test. They just went on the, oh, wait, a bunch of people said they ate our product and they're part of this group of people with Listeria. We're going to go ahead and do a recall. Okay. Because you got to think businesses lose money on recalls. Okay.
Right.
Not only does all that product have to be pulled from the shelves and destroyed, so they paid for the product to be made, they paid for the product to be delivered, they paid for the product to be removed, but they're not getting paid by anybody to buy it. Okay. And
Right.
then usually when you have a recall that affects people and they actually get sick, you usually end up having to settle. You
Yeah.
end up paying some medical bills. So recalls I get are not, willy nilly, if you will. They're
No.
big business. They cost a lot of money. So the fact that this company went ahead and said, hey, we're going to pull this product, I give it to them.
Yeah.
They weren't forced by the FSIS or, the FDA to issue a recall. They just said, hey, we're going to go ahead and do it. Okay. Now, it's important to note that while most individuals who are healthy won't become seriously sick if they are if they eat something that's infected with Listeria. Okay.
Right.
You may have a little bit of stomach upset, diarrhea, things of that nature. But if you get Listeria and you are pregnant, if you are, someone with a weakened immune system, if you're a senior citizen, if you're a newborn or a toddler, Listeria can be super serious and can lead to death. And in this case, you've already got 3 people that died, plus, a fetus died.
Yeah.
So I'm not making fun of this in any way, shape, or form, but I hate to say it, recall notices sometimes give you information about products that are sold under like white label names.
Yeah.
Okay. So, like I said, I'm not trying to I'm not trying to make less of this recall because this is important. But sometimes these recall notices give you more information about who makes products that
Yeah.
you don't realize make the products.
Well, and
Okay.
how interconnected everything is.
Right.
Like that's not
Well,
always evident.
it reminds me of the frozen waffle debacle,
Yeah.
where like 200 brands were part of a recall, and then you find out that there's a giant waffle factory. Who knew? I thought all these companies made their own waffles.
Yeah. And
Okay?
the processed chicken all comes from one. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
You learn
so
a
who
lot.
knew? So who knew that Marketside, which at Walmart they have tons of things that are ready to eat that are labeled as Marketside.
Yep.
Who knew that that was the same company that makes Home Chef at Kroger? Okay, because I don't know if you've looked at the Home Chef stuff, but it's actually pretty expensive. It's way more expensive than Marketside.
Yeah.
It's the same product. Isn't that interesting?
That's wild.
Yeah. So, anywho, at least for a little while, make your own, chicken Alfredo, just to be safe. I'm not saying avoid Kroger or avoid Walmart because they had nothing to do with it. They didn't make it. But so let us know down below if you've ever even had this product. Let us know what your thoughts are. And we are sending out some prayers to all the families affected by this because I mean we're talking 3 people dead plus a baby. I mean, that's
Man.
awful. So let's just fingers crossed that this doesn't keep spreading and that more people don't keep getting sick. So, okay.